All right, if you're a leader, especially in a fast-moving startup, tell me if this sounds familiar. You're trying to move at light speed, but it feels like every single decision, no matter how tiny, has to land on your desk. You've basically become the company's official approval stamp. And that brings us to a really crucial, maybe even uncomfortable truth. See, if you are the source of every single answer, you're also the ultimate limit on how high your team can fly. You become the ceiling. So what we're talking about here is something called the approval bottleneck. It's one of those weird, ironic twists where you're trying to be the hero, the one with all the answers, but in reality, you're the one slowing everybody down. I mean, you can probably picture this scene, right? Whether it's a real physical line of people at your desk or more likely a virtual one blowing up your Slack DMs, the result is exactly the same. A team full of talented people completely paralyzed, just waiting for you to give them the green light. Okay, so if we put this under an X-ray, what do we see? Well, the leader has literally become a human approval required stamp. And look, this usually isn't about ego. It almost always comes from a good place. You want to maintain quality, right? But the result, it's a systemic failure. It creates this culture of dependency and just grinds progress to a halt. And the hidden cost here is absolutely massive. While your team is just waiting around, work is piling up, the clock is ticking, and your startup's #1 most valuable asset, I'm talking about speed, is just getting torched. Eventually, all that pressure builds up and you hit a breaking point. We call it the snap moment. It's that moment when someone on the team, or maybe even you, finally asks that terrifyingly simple question. Why can't we decide anything without you? And that question, that's the beginning of the fix. So how do you get out of this trap? Well, the answer is what we call the Guardrail Solution. And it requires this really fundamental shift in how you think about leadership. You have to stop being the source of answers and start being the architect of constraints. And listen, the fix here isn't about you just working harder or trying to answer questions faster. No way. It's a system problem, and that means it needs a system patch. You've got to install a whole new operating system for your team, one that's built on a clear set of principles and, you guessed it, guardrails. So here is the big mindset shift, the whole ball game right here. Your job as a leader is not to have all the answers. It's to provide the right constraints. Think of it like defining the boundaries of the playing field so your team can go figure out the answers for themselves and do it safely and effectively. So how do you actually build these guardrails? Well, it boils down to 4 key steps. First, you've got to set crystal clear priorities. Everyone needs to be shooting at the same target. Second, you set the quality bar. What does good enough actually look like? Take the mystery out of it. Third, set your risk limits. You basically fence off only the super critical, bet the company decisions that really do need your review. And finally, number 4, you clarify decision rights. You explicitly tell your team who is empowered to make which calls. And the goal of all this, it's actually pretty simple. You create an empowered team that can make their own decisions with speed and with confidence. They're totally free to run, to innovate, to execute, as long as they stay inside the clear boundaries that you've set up for them. And the transformation this creates is, honestly, it's profound. Let's take a look at what happens when you go from being a bottleneck to enabling a real breakthrough for your team. I mean, the contrast is just night and day. In the before world, you've got a stalled team, and your speed is in the toilet. But in the afterworld, your team is making decisions on their own, work flows like it's supposed to, and your company's velocity is back where it needs to be. And that all comes back to the main point. The one thing I really want you to take away from all of this. If your team seems stuck, if they seem dependent, if things just feel slow, the first place to look isn't at your people. It's almost always a system problem. And the good news, as the leader, that's a problem you actually have the power to fix.